I was raised, I would say, in a contemporary cult.
After walking away from a cult, rejecting an arranged marriage, and coming out to his parents,
Fundamentally, no one as a human is flawed because of who they love, and that is under attack.
Jove Meyer became an internationally acclaimed inclusive wedding planner.
If you're in love and you pour your love story into your wedding details, it's right.
Listen to how that leap changed his life, his love, and the wedding industry itself.
Jove, welcome to the HelloPrenup podcast.
Thank you.
I'm excited to chat with you. I want to hear all things wedding planning, inclusivity. So for all of our listeners who don't already know who you are, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm born in a small beach town in Southern California. I'm one of 6 boys. I have 5 brothers. I always wanted a sister, but didn't happen. And I was raised super conservative. And oddly enough, always connected to weddings tangentially from a young age. And I was supposed to have an arranged marriage. It did not happen. And instead, my friends did. And my first wedding of my career was my friend through church in 2008. We were both broke college students trying to figure out life and pay our bills by waiting tables. And she asked me to plan her wedding. I was on track to go to law school. I was not thinking about weddings. I was not going to get married. I was not planning weddings. I had never even been to a wedding. And that all changed in the summer of 2008. And from there, Jove Meyer Events was born.
That is an incredible story. And you said you were supposed to be part of an arranged marriage. Tell me a little bit more about that before we continue.
Oh, that little interesting tidbit.
Yeah, I need more.
I was raised, I would say, in a contemporary cult with a Korean leader. And one of the big tenets of the faith was abstinence before marriage, fidelity within marriage, and an arranged marriage was sort of what was happening. So my first kiss, my first hug, my first anything with someone from the opposite sex was to be my wife. And from a young age, my parents started to want to match me. And I think I remember I was 16 years old and we did a little photo shoot at JCPenney. I don't know if you remember, they had those like pull down the backdrop. Most people did it for like a headshot or school or acting. And we were going in for my matching photos and no one understood what that was. And I was embarrassed. And so I told them it was my headshot. And so I was trying to be cool and use these props. And my stepmom was like, you can't do any of that. And you can't smile and you can't have a prop. There were like very specific rules for how the picture had to be. So they tried when I was young, and they tried all the way through my missionary work, which I did for 3 years. And then ultimately I was like, I can't marry a woman, I'm gay. And so fortunately, that was a nice, easy ejection from the faith. But looking back, I'm quite grateful that my sexuality let me get out of something sooner than I might have left myself.
Is your family still a part of this?
Yeah, tangentially, I would say. My older brother, no, he left the moment I came out and left the church. And when he watched their reaction to me, he left immediately. My dad, here and there. Yeah, my stepmom will always be a member, yeah.
What is it like to grow up in, as you stated, a contemporary cult?
Well, you don't know anything different. You know what I mean? Like it's all I knew, waking up at 5 a.m, doing prayer in Korean, going to church with other people every Sunday, summer camp, winter camp. I ultimately became a preacher in the church. Like, it's all I knew. Secretly, I knew it wasn't a fit for me, but I think at the end of the day, they meant really well. They were promoting family values and love and world peace. So all like great things, but there wasn't a sense of inclusivity or love or justice for all of us. And you see the leadership of the church with such great wealth and the members with such poverty. And something didn't click at a certain point for me beyond my own sexuality and not fitting in their ideal system. But that's when I realized that injustice was more than just against queer people, but it was really against the members who were devoting their life and their resources and weren't getting anything in return. And the world wasn't, I think, becoming a better place because of their sacrifice.
What was it like leaving?
It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It's all my friends, my family, my community, my whole world. And thinking I'm going to turn my back on everything I know that's good and true and everyone that loves me for the hope of finding love with a man, it was frightening. And in the 90s and early 2000s, being gay was not cool. It was not trendy. It wasn't widely accepted. There were no gay characters on TV. There were no gay leading men in movies. It was still stigmatized. And growing up in Southern California, it was still not great. You know, the F word, the F bomb was dropped all the time, and it was an
Yeah.
insult to call someone gay. And it wasn't great. It wasn't a lovely time. And so I also didn't know any gay people. So all I had the reference was from church was you're going to die of AIDS or you're going to become a pedophile. Those are the two things gay people do. And obviously I was like, no, I don't want either of those things. And those things don't resonate with me. Maybe I'm not gay. But I definitely knew I couldn't marry a woman. And although I came close, I didn't want her life to be affected. You know what I mean? Like if I were to have married her and had a family with her and been perfectly accepted, she would have suffered in the end also because the love is not true. The relationship is not genuine. It would have been forced and fake. And so I made the harder decision and I quit my job. I sold my car. I gave up a full ride to UC Berkeley, packed a bag, left California. I was living in a church house and I moved to New York City and I started life over.
What a hard pivot.
Yeah, I think it's what I needed. If I stayed in California, lived in the church center, kept teaching Sunday school, life would be very different for me now.
What did leaving the church teach you about love?
That it's not conditional. You know, they taught unconditional love, but it was one-sided. And so I realized if someone loves you, they love all of you. And that wasn't what I was getting. And when I left, you'd think after 21, 18, 19, 24 years of service and loyalty and rising through the ranks, you'd get one phone call. Not one. Not one,
Nobody's
where
reached
are
out to
you?
you.
Why weren't you at church on Sunday? Nothing. And it was my whole life, my whole identity. Every weekend, every holiday, every summer, like everything was that. And to just stop showing up and nobody calls, I think you get a sense of what it was really all about in the end.
What is the internal experience of that rejection?
I don't know. I mean, I think it shows me everything I don't want to be and everything I don't stand for. And it makes me very clear and strong in why I believe inclusivity is important because it's not something I was ever given or shown. And to me, it's ridiculous to claim love as your core objective, but to spew hate and bias. It's not unique to the cult I was raised in. It's the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, many religions proclaim love, but do the opposite.
How has your childhood informed what you do today and how you operate in the world?
I mean, in many ways, in every way, right? We're all impacted by our childhood. And I think for me, you know, we grew up we didn't have a lot growing up. Single dad, he worked really hard to give us what we had. But I'm scrappy. I've always been scrappy. If I want something, I'll never forget all the kids in Orange County when they turned 16 got a new Volkswagen Jetta. That's like where I was raised. But we were broke. And my dad was like, you want a car? Get a job. I wanted a beeper. I don't know how old you are, but the beeper was like a thing in high school.
I remember.
And I really wanted a beeper. And he's like, get a job. And it was out of necessity. I don't think he was a teachable moment for him. But I just remember if you want something, work for it. And he had worked for everything we had. We didn't have a lot, but he did it. And he came to this country and he figured it out. And so that was instilled in me in a young age. And so my first job, I think when I was 12, I worked in a fish store bagging goldfish and then a diner clearing tables and then a balloon store and then a cafe and then restaurants through college. I've never not worked. And so I think in that regard, I appreciate the drive and I think it's given me that. But it's also given me compassion to other people who don't feel like they belong and to give a voice to people who don't have a voice. And in the wedding industry, much of the industry for many years was this is how you get married. This is what a wedding is. This is what you do. This is what it looks like. There's a right and a wrong, a good and a bad. And for me, that never made sense. If you're in love and you pour your love story into your wedding details, it's right. Even if that means it's not gold and white and in a hotel ballroom and you're not serving steak or you don't have champagne. Like at the end of the day, it's the love in the room. And I think that gave me the desire to push this industry in a way that it didn't want to move.
Tell me more about the work that you do today and how that was informed by your view of love as a child, or even revised view of love.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I spent most of my life pretending to be someone else to make others happy, like until I was 24, 5, or 6. And so when I finally realized I didn't need to change who I wasn't the problem. It was like a light bulb went off and I looked at the world in a very different way. And initially I was angry. Like, why did I lose so much of my life hating myself for something I have no control over and that isn't wrong, that isn't broken, that isn't a flaw? And so then it gave me a drive to ensure other people, particularly people getting married, didn't have to deal with that. You're planning one of the happiest days of your life, and you shouldn't be worrying if someone is going to call you a bride when you're a groom, or if someone's going to make assumptions about how you want to celebrate based on the way you look. Or you walk into a room and they say, oh, where's your bride? When you're a man and maybe you're marrying a man. Or if you're a woman, oh, is that your sister? When it's your fiance. It's like these tiny little things of people who mean well. But if you mean well, put in a little effort and make a change. It's still hospitality at the end of the day. We don't work in tech. We work in hospitality. And hospitality means you take care of people. And I believe taking care of people is in the little things. It's in the language. It's in the body language. It's in how you greet someone. It's in your face. When two men walk in the door and you're, oh, we feel that. You know what I mean? We're not immune to feeling just because we've had to put up a hard shell. So it's informed a lot of my business. And when I began working, it wasn't even legal for me to get married. I was sitting in a ballroom in a corner in New York City, and this client was getting married, and I was crying. They were doing their first dance, and it was emotional. I was very single, hopeless romantic, in weddings, and it hit me that this service I'm offering to other people isn't available to me. And what's different about them than me? Like, I pay my taxes. I'm a good person. I want love. Why can't I get married? And so, like, that was really, I think, the fire under it when I was in the industry, realizing we have to make a change and we have to do this differently.
How do you do it differently today?
We have an ally pledge on our website that we have had for many years, and ultimately it stipulates we choose love above hate. And if you choose to discriminate on any basis that is not a choice for the person, we will not work with you. It's not a relationship that we want to engage in. It's not someone we want to give money or resources or work or promotion to. And we make that very clear. I will not travel or speak at conferences in countries where it's illegal to be gay. I'm not going to platform a place that wants me dead. Doesn't make sense to me. And the wedding industry, I believe, shouldn't be doing that either. And so those are the small ways, but it's also in who we hire, how we speak, and how we encourage all couples to celebrate their love story authentically. I feel like it used to be like there was a gay wedding and a straight wedding. And queer people wanted to differentiate ourselves from straight people because they had this tradition for many generations that we didn't have access to. Once we got access to it, we mimicked it. Again, to feel welcome, to feel supported, to not ruffle feathers, to make people love us. So we acclimated to what they're comfortable with. But really the wedding industry, I think, then moved into like supporting gay weddings. But a wedding is a wedding, regardless of who's getting married. And I think that's the bigger challenge and the bigger joy is how we get all couples, regardless of who you love or how you identify, to celebrate authentically and not in a way that society pressures you to, or your family pressures you to, or you feel you have to. Just because you assume someone wants to do something one way doesn't mean they actually do.
What are some of those differences that you see in queer versus straight weddings?
I mean, I think the intentionality is very different. I think if you're a lovely straight couple, you've had generations of watching what a wedding should be,
Mhm.
and you admire that and you respect that. You've seen it in movies, TVs, books, magazines. We have not. I don't know anyone who went to their great grandfather's wedding who's gay. We've only had marriage equality in this country for a decade, and it's currently up for debate as to whether or not we will continue to have it in this country. And so for me, it's all about doing something because it has meaning to you. So we're not going to walk down an aisle because that's what's always been done, right? If you're not interested in that dramatic moment, we had one couple in the ceremony space and we opened the doors and all of the guests processed to them. They couldn't figure out who was the bride, or one of them was very shy. He's like, I don't want to walk in and have everyone stand and everyone look and overwhelm me. And so we sat and we talked about it. And it was like, instead of assuming or telling someone, this is how you do a wedding, we ask, what are your comforts? What are your worries? What are your fears? What are your hopes? What makes you happy? And we follow that. And I think queer people have been doing that our whole lives. But in some way, it's giving permission to straight couples to have a wedding they really want, not the wedding they think they have to have.
I have so many questions.
Please. That's why we're here.
Are you married?
I am. I just got married a month ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How
Thank you very much.
exciting.
Yeah, it was surreal.
Tell me about your wedding.
I it was the best day ever. I highly recommend. After planning over 200 weddings for clients, I don't know that I ever thought I would get married. I don't think marriage was a goal for me as like a pillar or a life achievement. I'm thrilled that we did it and that I found my husband. I was happy to just be together and have a life. But now I get it. I get what I've been selling for so many years. And it was so incredible to be surrounded by so much love and so much support and so many different people from so many different stages of your life. There's people I met when I was in the closet. There's people who helped me come out of the closet. There's people I met 6 years ago, people I met 30 years ago, like a range of people through my life and my husband's life, all in a room together to celebrate us and love. It was incredible.
What was your most special moment from your wedding?
That's hard. Many special moments, many, many special moments. But I think when we walked down the aisle and everyone turned around, and it's almost like time stood still, and just making eye contact with everyone from all walks of your life in that moment, in that time, with that emotion, with the music, with the lights, with, the ambiance, the decor, like it was something I'll never forget. Yeah, it was like time stood still for that few seconds of the walking down the aisle.
How did you and your husband meet?
We met on
I
Tinder.
need to hear the love story.
Yeah, we met on Tinder the old-fashioned way. It was early COVID, and I had just bought a home on Fire Island. My business was going very well. I was very excited. And then the world shut down, and all of my clients canceled their weddings or delayed their weddings. And I was supposed to have the best year of my career, and suddenly I lost it all. And so I was alone with free time, which is rare for me. And he was with friends in Connecticut, and his world shut down. Like all of our worlds kind of shut down. And so we connected on Tinder. We sent messages back and forth. We moved to text. We moved to phone calls. And I want to say a few weeks in, he chartered a private ferry and came out to meet me. And that was our first date. And it was incredible. And he never left. So that was 5 years ago.
How did you know he was the one?
I think there are many moments. I don't think I had like an aha moment, but I think for me with Kyle, his heart is unlike anyone else I've ever met. Like his ability to give love freely and generously is something that I always come back to. And it's like what I think draws me in even closer. He doesn't have friends. He only has best friends, which I think says everything about him. And everyone who loves him will say they're his best friend. It's not one-sided. It's really the time he makes for other people, the love and investment he has for other people really seal the deal. Of course, he's handsome, he's charming, he's talented, he's funny, but his heart is what did it for me.
What was it like receiving that kind of unconditional love from your now husband when you left
Mm-hmm.
an entire group of people that you'd known your entire life who had rejected you?
Yeah, it was initially difficult. And it wasn't just from him, it was from his family. That was the part that, like, pretty early on, I went home to meet his family. I didn't know I was meeting his family. He invited me to his brother's birthday in August. We met in May. And he didn't tell me we were staying at his parents' home, and that's where the birthday party was. Anyways, I arrived, and they had bought all my favorite food, drinks, snacks. They had gifts on the bed. It was something so foreign to me that it definitely took time. And I think it's really only recently that I'm warmed up to it, because it's foreign. There's no better way to say it than it's totally different than anything I've ever known and anything I ever had as a child. I receive love, people love me. But Kyle's parents, their greatest joy is and was being his parent. And you can tell. And that is why he is the way he is. And even at the wedding the night before at our rehearsal dinner, I was introducing his mother to people. And I said, "This is Kyle's mom." And she said, "Your mother-in-law?" And I was like, "Kyle's mom." Like, it's still something, and he and I talk about it. There's a wall that they have broken down with love that they give naturally that's taken me time to receive naturally.
Does
For
it feel
sure.
uncomfortable for you to receive love in such an
Open,
untethered way?
natural way. Yeah, at first, 100%. I sat down in the kitchen with Kyle's dad the first time I met him. And like any dad would, he had Googled me and who's this guy, who's this
Yeah.
person my child is bringing home. And he sat me down, and he's the nicest guy in the world. He's a retired teacher. He was the basketball coach. He could talk to a wall. Like, he's so charming. And he said, "I've read every article you've ever been featured in, and I have some questions." And I said, "I have to go to the bathroom." Then I got up and I went to the bathroom, because no one to that point in my life had showed that kind of interest, even in my own family. And so, again, it was foreign. The sweetest man, he meant the world, but it took me a minute. I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then I went back and we talked, and but yeah, it's like melting an ice cube. I think it takes some time.
Are you still on that journey?
Yeah, there's still a little ice, but it's not an iceberg. I think it's an ice cube, and I'm still on that journey. Takes a lot to unlearn things you learned through lacking or incorrectly.
Wow. If you were to go back to 10-year-old Jove,
Hmm.
what would you tell him?
I would tell him, this feels like RuPaul's Drag Race. Do you watch that show?
No.
RuPaul asks the drag queens, and he holds a picture of them when they're 10.
Oh,
I know it's
I wish I had a picture of you when you were
it gets
10.
me every time, and I'm like crying, and now I'm like, that's all I'm seeing, and like hearing these drag queens talk to their 10-year-old self. I think for me, I would tell my 10-year-old self that you're beautiful the way you are. Yeah. Nothing about you is wrong. You're not broken. And that's probably what I would say.
Do you have relationships at all with any of those people who you left?
Yeah. My dad came to the wedding, which was very
He
exciting.
did.
Yeah. So I would say he did the best he could as a parent, and I relinquish really up both of my parents from responsibility of being parents. The bar is quite low for them in my mind. They did the best they could with what they had, and that I believe to be true. And I believe there's love there, but I think there's a lot of other things that are beyond my control, especially as a child. But yeah, he came to New York twice in my 17 years here. The first time was 3 years ago when Kyle and I moved in together. And he's a contractor, and we were getting quotes to paint the apartment. And he was like, that's ridiculous. Those prices are out of control. And my older brother was like, well, then why don't you go do it? And he did. And it was wildly moving and sweet, and the first sort of gesture, in a really good direction. And he loves Kyle, and he came to the wedding, and he had the best time. He had a really great time, and I was very happy he was there. My older brother was there, and 2 of my other brothers were there. Not everyone came, but the people that came, we had a really great time.
That must have been very emotional for you.
Yeah. Well, you think of weddings, you think of family, and you think of walking down the aisle and who's doing that with you, and your mother-son dance, like all these things that, yes, I push tradition, I push the boundaries, but you still ask if you want to do those things and why you want to do them, and you still think about them. So yeah, it was not easy, but it was also a process. And I think where we landed was perfect for us. And I was so thrilled that the family that came and celebrated.
Do you have a relationship with your mother?
I do. Yeah, we have a relationship. She has the biggest heart in the world, but she is not in a place to be a mother. But we love each other.
What drives you today?
I think love, and I think a fuel to make sure no one felt the way I felt as a kid. Fundamentally, no one as a human is flawed because of who they love or how they identify, and that is under attack. And I've been shouting it from the mountaintops for over a decade in this industry. And everyone's like, oh, calm down. Oh, it's just this. It's not a big deal. Of course, these are all straight people telling me this. But now, as you see, like trans people in this country are under attack. It's wild. There's 10 of them out of 500,000 athletes. There's 10. We're discussing 10 youth and making their parents feel horrible for loving their child the best way they know how. Queer couples in the world, we fought so hard to fit in and survive. And now we have to fight for love and equality and acceptance. And it's like, everyone just thinks it's all fine. And, why do you keep fighting? But there's not an end in sight, especially with this administration who's proactively undercutting our rights every single day. And, there was the cake maker who didn't want to make a cake for a same-sex couple.
I remember that case.
Mm-hmm. There was the website lady who didn't want to make a website or stationery for same-sex couple, which the whole thing was fake. They never inquired with her. That couple is real. They never even tried to hire. It was a fake case to make its way to the courts to diminish or remove our rights. So there is a strategic attack that is happening. And our friends who say they love us and the allies in the industry are like, oh, it's fine. But it's not fine. And the red flags are everywhere. But everyone's like, you have marriage equality, calm down. But that is, I believe, on its way to Supreme Court as we speak.
Absolutely it is. We did a podcast recently, a roundtable, and about this very topic.
Yeah.
And it's very clear to me that
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yes.
And Supreme Court decisions used to be something that did not get overturned.
Sure.
And
but
now that's all up for debate.
Roe v. Wade changed
everything.
And in that ruling, the justice said, send me marriage equality next.
I mean,
he said it.
And it's so logical that
in
it's
the text.
Yeah.
And literally the lawsuits are building and they're going to be there. And it will be overturned given, the current leaning of the Supreme Court.
It's really scary.
Congress and the president and the leadership in this country. And what's really horrible is that it's literally a strategic attack on us. And it's profiling us to be people we are not, demonizing us to be people we're not. We're not asking for anything more than anyone else. We fought and are fighting for equality. And the people I talk to are like, but you have it. and we're currently having a baby, and I'll tell you we don't have it. That process is fraught with discrimination every step of the way. And when we have our baby, we're not going to get that $5,000 baby credit.
Don't get me started on the $5,000
I
credit.
know, but I'm just using it as,
I
you know, and even in the world of IVF, right? Two men, we can't have a baby alone. You would say we are infertile, but we are not treated that way. So we get no resources, nothing. If a man and a woman were infertile, not her fault, not his fault, just like it's not my fault, they would get a free child, free medical, free surrogacy, free IVF through insurance. Not free, but much more affordable than the cash price that we are paying. So it's every single level that discrimination is real. And so for me, it's a fight I'll never stop fighting because it's not for me, it's for those behind me. I might have opened the door, but people keep trying to close it in our face, you know, or build a wall. And to me, it's disappointing that the industry hasn't taken a bigger stand, that these conferences and these iconic leaders and these people who hold the power and the influence, and many of them are gay, don't show or seem to care. So sometimes I march into the beat of my own drum, but I'll keep marching.
Let's talk about your prenup.
Yeah, my prenup. We got a prenup. It was something we talked about early on in the relationship. It was sort of a no-brainer. I have a couple of businesses and properties and assets. And it was sort of like we're getting married. And it was very casual. There was no drama. There was no hesitation. I have a lawyer I've worked with for years, and he offered us either Kyle can have his own counsel and I can counsel you, or I can co-counsel you if you feel like it's a simpler process. And so we got on a call with him, and pretty much we had agreed on everything before the call anyways. And he drafted it, and we signed it in front of a notary. And that was it.
How did you bring it up?
I don't know how I brought it up. I mean, when you're planning a wedding, there's a million things to think about. And this isn't something I bring up with clients because that's very personal and it's not part of the wedding day, as far as I'm concerned, as their planner and designer. But as a groom, as someone getting married, it was something that we talked about. I feel like we talked about it while we were dating. We talked about it while we were engaged. And then I think it was sort of like time. Like it was like 2 weeks before the wedding. And I was like, oh, I think if we're going to do it, you have to do it before you get married.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's
Yes.
a post-nup and like, you know, whatever. And so it was just a casual conversation.
I want to go into wedding trends.
Okay.
What wedding trends need to die?
Trends are hard for me because I'm in the business of creating original, authentic love stories represented through their wedding. So honestly, if it has meaning to you, you should do it. And if you love it, you should do it. Where I have a problem with trends is you're inundated on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and it's a sea of sameness. And you see it, you like it, other people have validated that it's cool because it has 10,000 likes or 5 pins, whatever, you know, and then that's why you want it. For me, it's like if you can identify what about this trend excites you, speaks to you, makes you want to have it, I'm down to do it. But doing for the sake of doing because we know it's popular is not for me. But there are some trends I love, like sculptural flowers. I'm into that. I'm into styling with fruit and vegetables. People are really loving that these days. I'm into the trend of color. Obviously, color is my favorite thing in the world. But I don't know, there's no trends I want to go away. I just think it's the trend of doing for the sake of doing. Like being a robot at your own wedding. And I don't mean that in a bad way because I don't think people intend to do that. But sometimes you get worn down by society, your family, their family, your wedding vendors, the wedding industry, the wedding complex. And if you're working a full-time job and trying to have friends and a life, you just go the path of least resistance, which sometimes is following the trend, you know, or the advice of the person who thinks that's trendy. So I don't know what should die. Actually, I think multiple speeches at a wedding is a trend I don't think should continue. I don't like more than 2 speeches at a wedding, personally.
Gets boring.
It gets boring. No one's interested. Like, have them call you. They can leave a voicemail. It's just you have a finite time to celebrate. And if you break it down by the minute and they're speaking for 30, 40 minutes at your wedding, is that, if it's $1,000 a minute, is it worth it? Like, when all these people could be doing something else, having fun on the dance floor, in a photo booth, laughing, drinking. I don't know. I get it. I get the whole thing about it. But I'm also like, is it for you? Is it for them? Who's it for? Who's it serving? And it's hard. People don't always want to talk about it. But I ask. At the end, I'll do whatever you want. It's not my wedding. But I want to know why and who it's serving.
What should couples think about when they want to infuse their wedding with creative, personalized details?
Yeah.
And I think, like, the backstory to my question lies in the fact that almost every single friend I had that got married, including myself, did kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
We all had the walk down the aisle. We all had the white dress. We all had a number of bridesmaids, and like, we picked the color that they wear. And when you were talking earlier about how you're like, well, you don't have to walk down the aisle. Like, what if that doesn't serve you?
Yeah.
A light bulb went off and I was like, wait, you don't?
No. Literally, you don't have to
thing?
do anything. Like, the success of your marriage is not determined by what you wear, the food you serve, if your dress is white or not, at all. But we all are people pleasers, and we all know that this formula works, and this formula is comfortable, and this formula is acceptable. And we're also working too hard, and we don't have enough free time, and we're doing too many things. So some people just take the path of least resistance because it is pretty. I'm sure your wedding and these weddings were lovely. Guests didn't hate them. But could you have infused your love story, your style, your personality in a way that's meaningful to you more? And no one I know ever answers no. But it's like, what is your life like? And who is this party for? And it's layered. It's layered, and it's layered differently for every person, every couple, every person in the couple, who's paying, who's not paying, the shame of not having the money to pay, the shame of spending too much money. I mean, it's like, the layers of the decision-making is very interesting to me. But at the end of the day, where you get married, how you get married, with how many people you get married, whether you stand in the middle, you have an aisle, you say vows, none of that has a bearing on the success of your relationship. This is the beginning point of celebrating your love, but what you do there doesn't determine your future. So do what feels right to you. Like, why people still wear white blows my mind. I wore white, so this is funny. But why people, for a different reason, but why people still wear white when they know the symbolism behind it, and purity and chastity and abstinence, which is sort of like deeply rooted in misogyny, because the man doesn't have to be abstinent for the woman, but she sure as hell has to be for him. And she comes down last and he waits for her. Like, the whole thing is misogynistic. Only men speak. Only men dance. The woman, the mother who gives birth, who grows the child, who in most cases in this stereotypical world raises the child, physically cooks, cleans, changes the diaper, goes to the show, does it all, doesn't get a word in, doesn't walk down the aisle. I mean, like, it's wild, but everyone still does it. These proclaimed proud feminists are walking down an aisle with a man on their arm who's going to give them away to the man that's waiting for them in white.
I did all of this.
And it's all fine. And it's all
ridiculous.
fine.
No, I mean, when you put it that way, it's like crazy.
But that's really like when I just sit and think about it, it's like when we really look at what's happening, nothing is wrong. And I'm not criticizing. I'm not critical of it. I just want to know why. I grew up in a cult. I had no choice. I had no say. There were no questions. I love questions. And if you tell me I'm doing it because I want to do it and it makes me happy, I'm here for you. But I do think we have to think about it. Like contemporary people in antiquated events is illogical to me.
Yeah.
But people still do it. I'm like, why don't you get married in the round? No, there has to be an aisle. Okay. Why don't we get married outside? Has to be a church. Okay. I mean, but why? The divorce rate's over 50%. So clearly walking down an aisle wearing it's not working if that's the recipe. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know. For me, it's all very interesting. And now I find this younger generation, Gen X?
Gen Z.
Z.
Yeah.
Oh God, I sound old. I love them. They give no fucks. They call everybody out and they do what they want because they want to. I think the job market's hard for them and the economy's going to suffer. But from a wedding perspective, I love that they're like, why would I do that? I don't like that. And it's so clear. They're not doing because they have to. They're doing because they want to. And that I respect. And I think that gives me hope in the future. And it also gives inspiration for other people to be free and to do what they want to do. I'm like, if you're a big nerd, have a nerdy wedding. If you're a big foodie, have a foodie wedding. If you hate dancing, don't dance at your wedding. It's all, people should expect that from you. It's sad to me when your wedding is performative. And for many people it is. And even if it's generous of their parents and you're offering it to your grandparents and you're doing it because that's how you're starting your life with this person, is doing a song and dance, and you don't dance and you don't sing. So for me, that's it. It's like, question everything. And not in a negative way, but like, why are we doing it? Why? Like when people started having family style dinners, people like revolted. Oh my God, you're not having a plated dinner? Oh my God. We had a bride who wore a blue wedding dress. The internet exploded with love for her. My favorite dress ever. It's still the most iconic dress. A blue Naeem Khan dress with white stars. And everyone loved it. But then I would talk to them. They're like, but I couldn't do that. I'm like, but why not? Why can't you? Again, if you want to wear white, wear white. But if you want to wear pink, yellow, blue, green, do it. Why not?
So much of wedding planning, and I always felt this, is performative.
Yeah.
And I think it just detracts from the purpose.
Correct.
The purpose is to celebrate the love of the couple in their present and their future and the merging of families and all these really beautiful ideals. And unfortunately, we get stuck in exactly what you're describing, which
There's
is
a cycle.
Yeah.
And again, the cycle's fine. I'm not here to burn down the cycle, but it should be fun and it should be filled with your DNA. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like that much stress, that much anguish, that much like energy spent on something and you don't even like it. And you decided to do it. That's hard for me to understand. I mean, I did it. We planned our wedding. We paid for our wedding ourselves. So it's different. I often ask my clients who has the power of the purse and who has the power of the choice. And sometimes when the purse is also the choice, some parents are like, I'm paying, but whatever they want. Some mean it, some mean to mean it, and some don't mean it. I get it. It's a delicate dance. But at the end of the day, like, if you're not being your true self in front of your parents or your partner or your nearest and dearest, where are we going? What are we doing?
I have to ask you this question.
Yeah.
And I ask every wedding planner this question.
I feel so special.
My team can cut this out later if they want, because I keep asking it.
Okay.
What did you think about Bezos and Sanchez wedding?
I mean, I have so many thoughts. It wasn't 50 million. There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way. There was that other viral Instagram wedding, TikTok wedding that was 50 million. That was 50 million.
Was it the one on the in Egypt on the Giza Plateau?
No, that was Erica Hammond's wedding.
Okay.
She was on my podcast. She's the sweetest soul in the world. They spent money. I don't think 50 million, but they spent money. No, it was the other girl who got married in the Paris Opera House. and all her bridesmaids went to Chanel for custom outfits, and she
Oh.
flew her guests private. I mean, she spent $50 million. Jeff Bezos, I think, that gray carpet.
What
you-
was
did you
what
see it?
was that gray carpet? Can we talk about
It's
that?
from an elementary school in Waco, Texas from the 70s. You have all the money in the world, and you have bad carpet, ugly chairs, flowers from the 90s, and photoshopping by someone who just started yesterday. I mean, her arm, her bag, the chair. Did you see the picture, the Photoshop picture?
No.
The cover of Vogue?
Oh, I saw the cover of Vogue. Yeah, I was kind of just repulsed by the whole thing, so I stopped. I
We
stopped
all
at
are.
the details.
Anna Wintour informally stepped down
She quit.
before.
I know.
If that's not a sign, I mean, he bought the cover of Vogue.
Yes.
Okay, the wedding was $1 million. Vogue cover was $49 million. Well, let me go back. The wedding was $1 million. The guest list that they had to pay, those people weren't there for free.
Right.
That was pay to play. You paid for celebrities to come to your wedding, not perform. They weren't singers. Allegedly, Lady Gaga turned the wedding down because he wouldn't pay her enough. I'm sure she gave him a fuck you number because she can, and
Why
she
not?
didn't really want to do it, and he has more money than God. You paid famous people to post about your wedding. You paid for the cover of Vogue, allegedly, and then you had ugly gray carpet, cheap rattan chairs, and white bodega roses. I'm sorry. It was horrible. Horrible. But money doesn't equal taste. And on that note, if this is what she wanted and what he wanted and it made them happy, I'm happy. I just think, I mean, Venice didn't want them. Nobody wanted them there. The whole thing is tone deaf to
But
me.
I think to your point, and like, regardless of whether or not they really liked the 70s carpet,
And not in a good way. I'm down for 70s carpet, but this was bad.
I can leave all that aside. I just think what is so sad is exactly what we were talking about before, is it feels performative.
Period.
Those people are not your friends. You
Correct.
cannot convince me that Kris Jenner is your bestie. I just don't believe it. And in the mere fact that on this day, which is supposed to be one of the most special, emotional days of your life with your partner,
Yeah.
you chose to pay celebrities and
To
make it a
attend.
spectator sport.
Raise your profile. Yes.
It's like everything, in my opinion, it's like everything that is wrong
Yeah.
with this world.
Yeah. The thing I love about famous people who get married are the ones that choose not to have press.
Yes. No press, no phones, no social media.
And no NDA. When I work with them, I don't sign an NDA. They trust me. I trust them. And when you say I don't want my wedding pictures anywhere, I want everyone to be present. And I don't want to be thinking about the cover of Vogue or who's going to be in it or whose name is going to be in it.
How do you make sure those celebrities' photos don't get out? How do you make sure their guests comply?
It depends on the level, of the person and the guests that are there, the venue. Is it indoor? Is it outdoor? And if anyone knows anything. I'd say if the guest list is mostly celebrity, there's just an understanding and we'll make an announcement. If it's a mixed bag, then sometimes you have to take phones and put them in the cases when guests arrive. Because things happen. People slip. Someone finds out. Like we did a wedding and somehow I was at a tasting the very next day and the wedding was the day before. And someone found out that they were married, not from me. I didn't post a single picture. And I was at a tasting at a different wedding venue with a different client. And they took my videos from that tasting and said that it was this other person's wedding. Completely false. It was not even the same client or the same day. But when they want the story, they'll find a way. And there's always a leaky faucet somewhere that will leak. So yeah, you have to do that. And then sometimes you have to have drone security footage. You have to have perimeter. And then in Jeff Bezos's case, they booked multiple venues because if the press finds out or the protesters find out, the last thing you want in your Vogue wedding is protesters in the background saying, "Save the Earth, Bezos." So yeah, for me, I'm not interested in celebrity weddings in that way. I don't chase them. I don't work for free. That always confuses me too. The most wealthy people in the world don't have to pay for anything.
What advice would you have for an engaged couple?
Celebrate. Take the moment. Live in the moment. You just got engaged. You don't have to rush to plan. Don't even rush to put it on the internet. Like, take a couple of days and live in that joy with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family. Like, call people individually, text people. Like, receive joy from your inner circle before you share with your outer circle. I think that's important. And then I think you have a conversation with your fiance. What do we want to do? Before you bring in family, society, friends, Pinterest, what is important to us? What would make us happy? What's a reflection of us? And literally write it down. And I always tell our clients when we sit down, write it down right away. Don't write your parents' thoughts, your mom's, right? What do I want? And I have them do it separately. And then we talk about it. But at the end of the day, yeah, figure out what it is you want and then work towards that. And if your parents are involved and they're financially supporting you, explain why you want it. Don't demand it. Explain it. And if they don't understand it, you might not be explaining it correctly, or it might take some massaging because they also think you have to have a wedding of a certain way. Change doesn't happen easy, but I think if you mean well and you make consistent effort in the direction that is meaningful to you, you'll get there.
Where can listeners find you, Jove?
Everywhere is at Jove Meyer, Jovemeyer.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
My pleasure.